Well, hello everybody. How we all doing today? We're going to dig it up. Yep, we're going to dig it up. What am I talking about? Well, back when they came and raided me, when they came for all those marijuana things and other drug things, if they could have found them, if they would have been here, but of course they weren't. The only thing that was here was marijuana things. They left almost everything that they should have taken. And so I ordered a 5-yard dumpster to get rid of a bunch of it, and I'm going to explain why. And then some of it got buried in the ground, and I'm going to explain why. And some of it got dumped, some of it got burnt, and I'm going to explain why. So, where are we going to start? Well, let's see. At that time, concentrates were not considered to be part of medical marijuana. So if you had a medical marijuana card and you had medical marijuana, if you had a concentrate, you were subject to be harvested, imprisoned. Yeah. And so anything that would have residue of a concentrate would be a problem, right? So I had built some units for the distillation process for removing the solvent after doing the extraction, and these were designed to recover the solvent because that solvent is expensive. And why pollute the environment, right? Why pollute the environment? If you can reclaim it and use it again and again and again, which is what that equipment did. And so even though that equipment, perfectly legal for me to have in the slave system, perfectly lawful for me to have and not even be worrying about. But the fact that there would be concentrate residue is very problematic for me because they were just here, right? I mean, they were just here. They just raided me. They raided my business. They raided my home. They took a car. They took a truck. They took an enclosed triple axle 30-foot trailer. They took guns. They took money. They seized my bank accounts. They put me out of business. But the stuff that they were here for, they left with me. And at that time, concentrates were not part of medical marijuana. So your medical marijuana card wasn't going to do you nothing in that slave system of licensing and registering. Wasn't going to do you nothing. And I'm telling you, they left a lot. I'm talking about a lot. So on the pans that go in the unit for distilling off the solvents, you can see here, you can see traces of concentrate on there. Here's a good spot right here, right? They test that in the lab. Oh, that's marijuana concentrate. Oh, look at you, boy! You didn't learn a damn thing, did you? Look at all this stuff that you got. See, I'm sure they intended to come back and raid me again. See, this makes me habitual, and then this makes me look like defiant, and everything else, right? So that they can destroy my reputation. I'm a dirt bag, right? That's what I am. I'm a dirt bag in their eyes. Now, there were a lot of things that wouldn't have had any residue on them. So there were boxes of boxes. All right, this is a box. There were boxes of boxes. What's in these boxes? Amber dropper bottles. What are those for, Ethan? Well, we'd use those for cannabis formulations that were made from concentrates. Yeah, so they're different sizes, right? And then there were some people that they weren't satisfied with this. They were asking, saying, "Ethan, can you make me a quart?" Right? So there were these. There were boxes of these that didn't have any concentrate residue on them. In here, these are the caps that go on the end of these syringes. I'll get one of these. Get one of these to pop out of here. There we go. I can show you. This little cap goes on there like that. I take the cap off to be able to work this. Right, but that's just I guess you would call that a syringe or an oral syringe. It's got no needle on it. So I don't know. I mean, there's probably 20 in here. I don't even want to sit down and count this, but bags and bags and bags of these, right? They had so much on that warrant. I'm telling you, they're supposed to be taking baggies, right? They left all this stuff with me. And so you've heard me talk about the patent. You all know what this is, right? You know, for that SHIT. That's what kind of paper this is, right? Well, for the time being, that's what this is. This United States patent. That's all that is. So the stands that I built, the copper cable, the platforms, that kind of stuff all went in the dumpster. Buckets that had residue on it in the dumpster. Pretty much anything that had residue on it in the dumpster. So some of these things I went and dug up. You see, when I got notice of allowance on that patent, I started contacting cannabis attorneys. And I found two marvelous parasites in Ann Arbor. They conspired with my patent attorney to make sure that I didn't get international patents. But the point is that I wanted to give them some formulations for evaluation. So I needed some things like these dropper bottles. What'd you do, Ethan? I went and got a shovel. And then I went and dug. I dug them up. I washed them off. I boiled them. And I put together some formulations. Of course, I've had no feedback from my partners. Yeah, my two bar attorney partners. I had no word from them. It's been a year. Yeah. Oh, the games they played is really quite humoring when I think back on it, because they did what I just told you, and then the correspondence that I got was designed to trigger me. They didn't get the responses that they wanted, so I won't say too much more about that at this point. Other than the deck is completely stacked in my favor based on all the evidence that I've put together. So, as you know, if you've been following along, I actually got some plants this year, and it was a late start, and they were seedlings, and several of them were autoflowers, which aren't big producers. I actually got a harvest this year. And so in this bag here is the trimmings. Probably can't see. I can probably help that. I know I can. I'm so technologically advanced. I can do that. I think I can do that. I can do that. Come on. Like the little engine that could. There we go. Now you can see in there. You can see. So that's the all the shade leaf, all the water leaf, all the broadleaf, all the trim when I trim the buds, and some scrog bud. So what I need is solvent. That's what I need is solvent. For the first time, I'm watching myself live. I want to see what the delay is. That's not too bad. Because I've been thinking about tipping the screen down, maybe to show you something that is a little difficult to hold up. Let's see. Top chat 1. 1 watching. That's me. Give myself a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if you like. So, when I dug up these amber dropper bottles, for those of you that are wondering, okay, suction cup here on the end, dropper bottles. When I dug those up, I found 2 of these. So I'm not sure if I had gotten extra, because these are Teflon, and over extended period of use, that Teflon will start to separate. So you don't want to use that. However, I would filter that Teflon out. But still, I'd like to be working with all stainless steel. I would. Excuse me. So, what else? What other kind of things did they leave that they should have took? Well, they should have took several of these. They would have had residue on them, concentrate residue. That was part of the job. This equipment here, I have nothing to do with this company. This is a magic butter maker. This is a really nice piece of equipment. This one was out, and there was 3 brand new in the box. They left them all. Yeah, they did. This is a mini dipper. Oh, and this thing is beautiful. This thing is beautiful. When you're for mass batching, for mass batching, put it all in there, and then when you want to draw them up with the syringes, you just plug that in. It warms it up, and that holds quite a bit. That holds quite a bit of concentrate. It's a very handy little unit, and very affordable. But of course, you know, they left that too. So the top units that were on my my reclaim, they're in buckets, and they're buried in the ground. I haven't got them yet. So follow-up video to this will be outside. I'm gonna figure out a way to prop up the phone out there, so you can see me dig it up, and then Google Earth images will show that soil has not been disturbed since it would either been December or one of the first days of January 2015 or 2016. Google images will show that Earth has not been disturbed since then. Because I'm going to get some solvent, and I want to reclaim it. Because like I said, it's expensive. And why not reclaim it rather than put it into the environment? And I don't think I talked about everything that I said that I would. These guys left 50-gallon barrels. They left 5-gallon buckets of extractions in process. They left 5-gallon buckets of flour. They took that equipment that I'm going to dig up that Sergeant King of the Michigan State Police was so darn interested in, that they were here to confiscate. Concentrates were not part of medical marijuana the days they were here. And that's what that equipment was for. They took it out of that 30-foot enclosed triple axle trailer, 3 units, and set it down nice and gently right outside the back door. So those top units have residue on them. I could clean, soak them in alcohol. I'm sure the parasites still find a trace of it in the lab. So I buried them. I did. Of course, concentrates are a big part of medical and recreational marijuana today in Michigan. So let's see, what else did I say I was going to talk about that I haven't talked about? I think that covers it. Now, I've been talking about these things. I'm going to keep talking about them. There's not one dentist the world over that's got the gut or the cojones to say, I see it. And I'll say, I see it. Not one of them will do the right thing and notify the ADA that the ADA should look into this, the American Dental Association. The American Dental Association has told me they will not look at it unless a dentist brings it forward. And of course, a dentist doesn't want to be attacked the way they attack me. So a dentist doesn't want to come forward. But don't we trust our medical providers? Do they not service the public? Do they not service us men, male and female? Can you not just walk into their lobby and ask for treatment? Do you have to sign a private membership with a dentist, or is that open to the public? Is it their responsibility to provide you the best service, the best advice? Well, I'm thinking about creating a letter, a notice that gets served on these dentists. Just a very brief, short summary. Direct them to the website where they can see. Offer them my contact information so they can reach out to me if they want to have a conversation. Right? And let them know that if they refuse to notify the American Dental Association of the breakthrough health achievements with cannabis formulations that prevent calcified oral plaques, that remove calcified oral plaques, that prevent gum tissue loss, that rejuvenate lost gum tissue, that puts a protective coating on the teeth that's impermeable to acidics like apple cider vinegar, orange juice, lemonade. Put them on notice that if they do not contact the ADA and provide me with a record, if they do it by phone, then they got to submit or enter a recording. I like the word enter better than submit. You all been submitting stuff all your life. Submit, submit, submit. Slave land. 3D dumbed down, toxified, brainwashed slaves. We're all guilty. But you wake up and you get up and you just keep going. And you do the right thing. Now, there's another health issue that's been big in the news the last few years, and a lot of terrible things have happened. A lot of terrible things have happened. There's all kinds of reports, all these terrible things that have happened because of these servants and providers that have caused a lot of harm. And others involved, many others involved outside of that. And now they want amnesty. Oh, just forget all about it. Oh, we thought we were doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. All right, well, I say put all these dentists on notice. Give them 30 days to review. If in their what word? I'm grasping for words. In their infinite wisdom of their high knowledge, if they decide that they do not believe the evidence put before them, if they do not recognize the United States patent, then enter that as a reply. Go on the record. Go on the record. This isn't ignore. Oh, you can ignore, that's fine, but we have a record of your service, whether it's registered mail, whether it's in person and recorded. I think that dentist is on the hook. $15 million root canals every year. What do you get a root canal for? Well, it's not, if you broke a tooth and exposed the nerve, that happens. Then you're going to get a root canal. You're going to get a reconstruction on that tooth. But the vast majority of the average 15 million root canals done in America every year is 15 million. Every root canal tooth is a toxic tooth, according to Dr. Thomas Levy, with his scientific evidence. You have 2 to 6 miles of tubules in the root of every tooth, depending on the size of that tooth, where bacteria can fit 5 side by side for 2 to 6 miles. Fungus can also thrive in that tubule. And when that nerve is gone, there's no immunity for that tubule. There's no flow out, keeping it clean. And that bacteria, Dr. Levy teaches us, morphs into deadly, highly toxic, highly lethal bacteria. And that when it's in a molar, the immense pressure of chewing is more effective than a syringe at delivering those toxins to your lymphatic system. He says it's more effective than a syringe at delivering those toxins to your lymphatic system. More effective than a syringe. The cause of 90% of heart attacks, because Dr. Levy finds oral plaques in the high pressure ventricle of the heart in 90% of the cases. How are oral plaques getting to the high ventricle of the heart, high pressure ventricle of the heart? He claims that's the cause of the majority of breast cancer, that you can see the redness coming down the neck and across the shoulders and down into the breast. He claims that these toxic teeth are the cause of can be the cause of virtually any inflammatory condition. And what does government do? Rick Snyder, a former governor. Oh, well, I mean, he does things like, takes care of the water for Flint, Michigan. Gretchen Whitmer, well, she makes shopping, um, closed. Yeah, you go into the grocery store, the hardware store, you got to maintain social distancing. You got to have that face diaper on. Uh, they want you to do all these other things. But in the springtime, you cannot go down the seed aisle. However, cannabis businesses in Michigan during lockdown are essential business to be opened, not to be closed down like all the other businesses. Of course, Gretchen Whitmer's not going to do anything about this. What about some of our state representatives like Jack Bergman, Gary Peters, Dar Rendon? Right? They all know about this. What about the DEA? Got this classified as a Schedule 1. Zero medicinal value. But in the United States National Library of Medicine, when I discovered this, it says if you have lost gum tissue, it's gone forever. It's not coming back. So science had given up. So what does the National Institute of Health do? Well, they fund $1.8 billion to rejuvenate lost gum tissue. In May 2016, the same month that I go to jail with all these felony charges. After I had just returned from Washington State, where I was pursuing a cannabis research license, which was available. I had submitted to the licensing agency. I was working with the Pacific Coast Economic Development. They were connecting me with a congressman and a senator. I was in touch with a scientist. And this is February 2016, and my defense attorney calls, says, I just got off the phone with the prosecutor. If you want to come back to Michigan, it's safe for you. There's going to be no charges. 10 days later, they revoked the license, the research license, no longer available, like the soup Nazi. I come back to Michigan in March. In May, multiple felony charges, handcuffs, off to the rape cage. Yep. So I'm still here. Finally, now I got some material. I got equipment that I'm going to dig up to reclaim the solvent. So in the event that maybe somebody decides to donate some material so I can create some mouth rinse that I can donate back to them, I'll have some solvent to do it. But I want some formulation for myself, for my own care. And of course, the world's my ashtray. But you got to be careful, especially in Kalkaska, because if your cigarette ash touches the sidewalk, they want to arrest you. I love this pipe. I made it. So I'm smoking for free. Oh, dang, the lighter. Almost free. So that's what we're going to do, folks. I'm going to dig up that equipment. I do believe I'm going to get some solvent. I do believe that's going to happen. And then I'm going to start making videos to show you my process. Because the process that they teach for cannabis extraction is nothing like my process. Nothing like my process. Where most are teaching you to do a 3-minute soak max, which is basically a cannabis strip, and I mean a THC strip, and you're leaving a lot of cannabinoids and THC behind. No, we'll do a 7 to 10 day extraction, and we'll do it when the temperatures are dropping to below freezing. And man, we're hitting that time of year. We're hitting that time of year. And then the filtering process is 90 to 120 days. So I'm going to video all of that. I'm going to show you step by step. Oh, I learned something. I did, because I walked a fellow through my process. But then he needed to take that concentrate and merge it with the glycerin, the food grade glycerin, and the emulsifier. But he didn't have a magic butter maker. Magic butter maker's got a blade on it. It's got a temperature sensor. It has temperature settings, timer, and he didn't have one. So I told him, I said, get a candy thermometer, get a saucepan, and a whisk. Well, he used a spoon. He used a fork, and didn't work it. Later, he got a magic butter maker. And so last night I learned that what was done in the saucepan and whisking and watching the temperature with a candy thermometer produced a much thicker formula. And when he produced it, he was complaining about it being thick. And I said, well, does the suction cup on the dropper suck it up out of the bottle? He said, yes. I said, well, all right, there you go. Well, what I learned last night is that when it's done in the magic butter maker compared to the process that he did, it's much thinner. And when you put it in your mouth, it does warm the mouth. And he commented for the first time about the warming sensation. I believe it was the first time. He might have mentioned it before. He can correct me if I made a mistake. But he commented, he said, it's much more warming to the mouth when it comes out of the butter maker. So I learned that. There's a lot of things that I want to learn that I can't learn if I can't work with material. Now, I had a major breakthrough this year because the seeds that I created. Oh man, have I got the seeds? Oh, this is just a small sample, and there's thousands of seeds in here. this will plant acres and acres and acres. And this is just a mix. So the bud that I have is just loaded with seeds, and there's plenty more seeds to come by. But you see, the autoflowers, they don't produce. They don't put out a lot of volume. And yet they'll finish early, because they're triggered by time and not by sun. And if you pollinate them to create seeds from a indica or a sativa, the seeds that are produced are seeds that will grow like the size of a regular marijuana plant. And you can clone them. You cannot clone an autoflower plant. And they'll go into flower in August, and you can harvest in September. And in like northern climates, where you're dealing with the fall weather, the cold, the rain, that's the biggest problem for outdoor grows. You can absolutely avoid all of that. So I got the seeds. You need one sheriff, one of the 3,000 plus sheriffs, to pick up the phone and call Ethan. Ethan, come to my county. The farmers here want to lease you their land, and I'm going to protect your grow. I'm going to protect you. We have tens of thousands of acres available. One sheriff. Do you think there's one out there? I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. If not today, if not tomorrow, maybe a day in the future. If we find one, we can puff on the peace pipe. And we can celebrate optimal oral health and the decline of the lies and the attacks, the oppression, the suppression, the false information, the fear narrative. So I'm going to be working on a notice. And I think the thought is right now that I would post it on the website, on the services page, so you could access it, so that you could serve it on a dentist. Now, you might not want to serve it on your dentist for fear of retaliation. And you might want to keep it to yourself for fear of retaliation, because you are dealing with the enemy. Right now, the enemy wants you dead. They want you sick. They want you harvested. They want you on your knees. I want you standing up. I want you to have your liberty and your freedom. I want you to own your authority. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be happy. So there's a lot of energy out there. All these assemblies and these trucker events and Bonds for the Win, and David Straight with his teachings, and Hauser with his teachings, and Alphonse with his teachings, and Yusuf with his teachings. You got all these people, got you all chasing down these rabbit holes that don't take you nowhere. Well, probably the best is your assemblies. If you got your assemblies right now, all you need is law enforcement. And that would be sheriff, your county. So now if there's an assembly out there that the people there are tired of toxic water, I, I like coffee in my toxic water. And I like it warm, near hot. This is cold. But still, even my cold toxic water, I really enjoy the coffee in there. Oh, speaking of the toxic water, there was an act of Congress back when there was a government, a corporate government, a fake government, a government not for the people, but yet a government before 1999. Back in, I believe it was 1972, that that acting Congress, as you start to wake up, certain words will catch with you, like acting. Okay, that acting Congress created a court. What kind of court? A court separate from the current judicial systems. An environmental court. And back in the 70s, there were a lot of environmental laws. Like they took lead out of gasoline. Do you know what that did to the auto industry, truck industry, motorcycle industry, anything with a gas engine? They had to redesign the valves because that lead lubricated the valves. I know because I had a Sportster, and it ran on leaded gasoline, and all the gas stations were leaded. There was times I'd go to the airport and get aircraft fuel because it still had the lead in it. So anyways, they passed all these environmental laws. And there was a public law 92-500. And this is where your service providers, your servants, are supposed to be providing you the cleanest, healthiest water with the latest, greatest technology. And a fellow who was in the industry, who I've interviewed, who I've interacted with the environmental court, was having a group of servers serve writs of execution on our servants for the clean water that we should have, not the toxic water. And there's a lady, sweet little old lady, as far as I can tell, who was serving writs, who's now prisoner. And there's an effort, a strong effort, to see her released. All she wants is clean water for you, for the babies, for your pets, for your loved ones. And even that corporate system, in that system, it calls for it. The court was created The people commission the court. The people commission the court once they found out about it. Because this man who was working in the water industry, who was working to improve it, just ran across an absolute, call it divine intervention, miracle, stumbled upon a way to reclaim all contaminants at the source. Where what you're getting in any municipality is recycled sewage with a lot of toxins that are solidified. And with a water electrolyzer, which you can buy for around $20 all day long, I've seen them under $7 on sale. Within 30 minutes, you can see the dissolved solids solidify and show themselves in that water. And what you're going to see is the most disgusting water that you're cooking with, you're drinking after your workout, you eat your healthy meal, you're drinking some good clean water. Think again, drinking distilled water. Apparently even all the well waters are toxified. And as technology exists, also another simple solution is to get the primary water. You just go down 800 feet and tap into the primary water. So the heat that's down below heats up the water that's down below. It creates this steam. Well, in that process, what's it doing? It's killing off bacteria and fungus and bad things, right? It's steam. And what's that steam do? It rises. And then what? Well, it flows down off of mountains. Or it creates these huge underground water reservoirs that you can go down 800 feet and tap into. You don't have to be drinking toxic water with your coffee or your tea or whatever your beverage is. So things can change a lot. I just saw a report of a tomato plant that became a tomato tree. It grew 15,000 tomatoes. 15,000 tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes, and they were the size of baseballs. Filters out 2 of the light rays, and apparently when the birds start chirping early in the morning, that causes a reaction underneath the leaves. I don't know what they call it. I think it starts with an S, but it opens. And this is very important, blocking out 2 of those light rays and having those open, and produces this tomato tree. Now, apparently music, I think it's classical music, also makes this reaction underneath the leaf. And a farmer played music to his cornfields, and apparently everyone's laughing at him until his corn grew 10 foot tall. Now, there's all kind of wonderful things that we can bring forward, but we got to get these tyrants who call themselves our servants under control, in check. They need to be held accountable. And you got to get over your fear. You got to come together. So this, speaking of that, this lady, Darris Moody, this little old lady, who's in custody because the FBI picked her up. Well, there's an effort going on that's organized by the People's Bureau of Investigation, Rainbow Warriors, and others that are getting involved. And it looks like men are coming together to stand for your right, for your water, and for your liberty, your rights, your duty to hold your servants accountable, to protect and defend. You're going to allow that toxic drinking water? You're going to allow it. You're going to do nothing about it. To me, that's a problem. That's approaching participating in the process of supplying that toxic water to you and your kids, and your parents and grandparents, your friends, your pets, your vegetable gardens. So pay attention. On Telegram, you can look at Dave Roberts, the law. I think if you type in Dave Roberts, the law, I think it'll pop up. You'll see it. Vaccine police. I'm sure they're on the PBI. And you'll see some posts on my channel. So what else are we going to talk about? What else did I say I'd talk about that I didn't talk about? I'm not sure. Well, at any rate, that's your update. I'm gonna be working on that notice that can be served on the dentist. We know how to do that anonymously too, registered mail. That can be done anonymously. And it's just a notice. And truly the notice is from me. If I have receipt in my hand, receipt electronically or audio, video transmitted to me, that I have a record that a dentist was notified of the documented evidence in pictures, excuse me, in pictures, two of them beginning with dentist evaluation, and one of them completely conducted by an independent dentist, and the other one a testimonial from the man. And pictures in all three instances. Gum tissue rejuvenation, where we also see tooth realignment, where the gap between the teeth close, eliminating that food trap. Yeah, there's pictures there that show that. Gum tissue rejuvenation, pictures that show that. And the United States patent to back it up. And all the videos that I've created that I had never had any intention of creating. I never intended to be a whistleblower. I never intended to be an educator this way. I was such a slave, I couldn't imagine that I would be attacked for this. So, anyways, we're just going to keep on pushing forward. We're gonna get this to you. We are. 'Cause I've been sharing my trade secrets, my intellectual property, and there are people that are reporting to me that haven't come forward that I can share, but they come. So I know people are benefiting. And this is what I want. I want you to benefit more than just your oral health. Own your authority. All right, everybody. I love you. Fighting for you. I'll be back soon. We'll probably be outdoors with the next video or the one after. We'll see. Hope you have an enjoyable day.